Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
All right, let's dive in. So many of you requested a closer look at cooking with Kaya.
Oh, yeah, she's everywhere, isn't she?
Seriously, it seems like you can't scroll for 5 seconds without seeing her recipes, or, let's be honest, her dance moves. We've got a ton of articles, research, and even some interesting YouTube takes.
Yeah, definitely some spicy takes out there.
But what's the deal? Why is cooking with Kaya such a phenomenon, and why does it seem like, especially for women, there are such strong reactions?
You know, on the surface, it's cooking, right? Some dancing, a jingle. Catchy, I'll admit. But the more we dig in, it really does feel like cooking with Kaya is tapping into something deeper.
Like what?
I mean, we're talking about gender roles, how we even consume entertainment in this TikTok world. It's a lot more than just, like, here's how to make a sandwich.
Okay, you mentioned the jingle. I have to bring it up. The whole cooking with Kaya chant, the moves, sometimes even twerking. Is that part of the appeal, or is there something more to it?
I mean, think about it. Our brains, especially online, we just crave simplicity, right? Researchers have a name for it. They call it cognitive ease. And Kaya's videos, they're short, they're repetitive.
Easy to watch, easy to remember.
Exactly. They're almost addictive, right? Mental comfort food.
Yeah.
And in a world that feels like it's just constant information overload, that's huge.
It makes sense. I get it. But it's not just the format, right? You pointed out in your notes that her recipes, they're also really relatable. She's making potato soup, breakfast staples, things people actually cook. I even saw a comment from you in the source material. I think you said you tried her breakfast burrito recipe.
Well, you caught me. Yeah, last week, actually. It was pretty good.
So it's working. She's getting people into the kitchen.
Right. And that's a big part of it. I mean, it's aspirational, but it's also achievable. She's not making Michelin star dishes. It's food that feels familiar, doable, like you could cook alongside her. And that creates a connection. And
then there's the humor. I mean, that little make your man breakfast before I do comment, harmless fun or something more.
I think it's both. On the one hand, humor, it's engaging. Right. It makes things memorable. It makes it shareable. But on the other hand, that comment, even if it's just a joke, it does kind of play into, these underlying anxieties some women have brought up.
Right, like about competition and relationships.
Especially in the digital age where everything feels so amplified.
Okay, so we've got this engaging format, recipes people connect with, and then that touch of humor, all playing into her, skyrocketing popularity. But then there's the flip side. We can't ignore it, especially the criticism coming from women. You pulled out some big concerns from what we've been reading, so let's get into that.
Absolutely. One of the biggest ones is this idea of perceived objectification.
Okay.
And some women are saying, her dancing, what she's wearing, those kind of suggestive comments, it overshadows the actual cooking.
Like they're saying she's not being taken seriously as a cook.
Yeah, and maybe even that it's reinforcing some harmful stereotypes. So it begs the question, can a woman be both entertaining and like a respected food expert in this online world?
And this kind of connects back to what you were saying earlier about the history of women in, the food world, the food media world. Like she's walking this tightrope that honestly so many women before her have had to navigate.
Right, exactly. This tension has been around for decades. Think about like Julia Child. Groundbreaking, but even she had to deal with criticism about how she looked, how she acted.
Wow, yeah.
And now with social media, it's tenfold.
Totally. And you highlighted this one comment in the YouTube transcript. It really stood out. The viewer said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Kaya's whole presentation basically sets these unrealistic expectations for women. Like they have to be alluring and domestic at the same time.
Yeah, and it really adds another layer to this, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Because it speaks to this bigger anxiety in society, like how are women supposed to present themselves online? Effortlessly beautiful, amazing in the kitchen, always entertaining.
It's a lot.
It is a lot to unpack. And then, of course, there's the whole impact of Kaya's content on, well, relationships. I mean, stealing your man jokes, as lighthearted as they might seem, they've sparked some serious conversations.
Yeah, about trust and insecurity.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, social media has blurred the lines of relationships in so many ways. And then you have these videos, and it's like, even if it's unintentional, they can trigger these feelings of jealousy, competition.
You flagged an article where a therapist even weighed in. They said, and I'm quoting here, that Kaya's content, while not inherently problematic, can exacerbate existing insecurities in relationships.
Yeah, throwing fuel on a fire that's already smoldering.
Yeah.
And it really brings home the point that good communication in a relationship is crucial, right?
Absolutely.
If your partner's into Kaya's content and it's making you feel uncomfortable, you got to be able to talk about it openly and honestly.
Great advice. So we've got the whole debate about objectification, the relationship anxieties, but there's this third criticism that kept popping up, and that's the authenticity piece.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
So is she genuinely passionate about cooking, or is this all just for, followers, brand deals, that whole...
Right. Like, is it all just about fame and making money?
Exactly.
And it gets at this huge issue of what's being called the commodification of self-presentation online.
Okay, break that down for me.
Basically, it's turning your whole online persona into a product to sell.
Ah.
And with Kaya, the lines get really blurry. Like, is she a chef? Is she an entertainer? A businesswoman, or all of the above?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. And I feel like a lot of her viewers are really grappling with this.
Right. They're trying to figure out, is she really sharing her love of cooking, or is this a carefully crafted persona to get attention, to monetize her platform?
It's tricky because, as you said, there's no easy answer. Like, we're living in this age where authenticity and performance, that line, it's so thin, especially online.
Absolutely. And Kaya, she's like the perfect example. She forces us to confront these assumptions we make about people online, to really think about, what are the motivations behind the content we're watching, consuming, sharing?
So we've got this really interesting, almost like paradox, right? You've got this huge popularity, but then all this controversy. People love her engaging format, the recipes, the humor. It's pulling in a huge audience. But then there's the criticism for maybe objectifying herself, stirring up anxieties in relationships, blurring those lines of authenticity.
Right. And all of this is happening at the same time that there's this bigger cultural conversation, right? About gender roles, about online entertainment, and honestly, just the power dynamics that are happening in the digital age.
And then on top of all that, there's this other layer to the Cooking with Kaya story. It comes from this pretty bold YouTube video we found. The creator is arguing that Cooking with Kaya is being used as bait. And this is where things get really, really interesting.
Yeah, this is where Cooking with Kaya, even if it wasn't intentional, becomes kind of a social experiment. And it's revealing a lot about us, about our own biases and anxieties.
Whoa. So before we go down that rabbit hole, just your initial thoughts, based on what we've talked about so far, is Cooking with Kaya just harmless fun, or is there something more complex at play?
Oh, it's definitely more nuanced than it looks at first glance.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fascinating to dive into. It's showing us how a seemingly simple cooking show can tap into these deep anxieties about gender, relationships, and this constantly changing world of online entertainment.
Okay, a lot to think about. When we come back, we're going to dive into this whole bait theory and explore how Cooking with Kaya is acting as a mirror, reflecting our own attitudes and beliefs about women, food, and really just the complexities of life in the digital age.
Buckle up. All right, welcome back. It's crazy how Cooking with Kaya has taken us from like potato soup and twerking to these big questions about gender and what's happening online.
No kidding.
Yep.
I mean, before the break, we were talking about how Kaya's popularity could be tied to this whole cognitive ease thing, our brains wanting simple content online. But then you've got these criticisms about objectification, authenticity, all that. How do those two ideas even exist at the same time?
Yeah, it's a bit of a paradox, right? On one hand, she might be successful because she's tapping into that desire for easy entertainment like we were saying. But then on the other hand, people are calling her out for playing into stereotypes.
Right, which brings up a whole other set of questions about how women are supposed to, exist in these online spaces.
Totally. And speaking of that, one of the articles you shared talked about the male gaze and how it affects how women present themselves online. Do you think that applies here?
I mean, yeah, probably, right? The whole idea that women are constantly being judged based on how appealing they are to, like, some imaginary male audience.
Exactly. And that can create this pressure to conform to certain standards of beauty and behavior, even in something like cooking.
And it's not just about being attractive, right? It's this whole thing where women have to be attractive, but not too sexy. They have to be skilled, but not intimidating. You even highlighted a quote in the article about that. It really fits with what's happening with Kaya, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's like she can't win. People praise her for her looks, for being entertaining, but then turn around and criticize her for, maybe objectifying herself. It's such a tricky balance to find.
Totally. And I think it goes beyond just Kaya, right? This is a bigger conversation about how women are portrayed and seen in media, especially on platforms like TikTok, where it's all about going viral and getting as much attention as possible.
You're absolutely right. And it makes you wonder about the role algorithms and like the whole structure of these platforms are playing in all of this.
You mean like because TikTok is all about those short videos, those quick hits of entertainment?
Exactly. It might actually be encouraging a certain type of content that doesn't really allow for these more nuanced discussions about things like food or gender.
So it's not just Kaya making individual choices, it's also about these larger systems that are shaping what we see and what gets popular online. That's kind of mind-blowing.
Right. And it brings us back to this bait theory we mentioned earlier. Remember that YouTuber who was arguing that some men might be using Kaya's content to, like, intentionally get a reaction from women?
Yeah, to, like, expose their insecurities and make them competitive with each other.
Exactly. And that's a pretty controversial take, I'll admit. I'm still trying to process it all. What do you think? Is there any truth to that argument?
It's tough to say for sure. I mean, obviously, we can't just assume everyone has bad intentions or try to generalize about people, but I don't know. I guess it's possible that some people might be doing that.
Right. And that YouTuber made another interesting point. They pointed out how the negative reactions from women toward Kaya seemed to come later.
Like, at first, there wasn't much criticism, but once men started giving Kaya all this attention, that's when the negative comments from women really started ramping up. It's almost like
their reactions were triggered by the attention she was getting from men.
Exactly. And it kind of suggests that, at least for some women, their reactions might be tied to feeling threatened in their own relationships, or maybe feeling like they have to compete with Kaya.
That's a really good point. And it just goes to show how social media can make those anxieties and insecurities we all have so much worse.
Totally. So even if we don't buy into the whole bait theory, it still brings up some important questions about how social media impacts relationships and how the content we see online can bring up all these complicated emotions.
Absolutely. And it all goes back to this idea of cooking with Kaya being like a social mirror.
Yeah, reflecting something back at us.
It's not just about the food or even Kaya herself. It's about what this whole situation reveals, about how we think and feel about gender, relationships, and this whole crazy digital landscape we're all living in.
Yeah.
And one of the articles you sent used the term parasocial relationships to describe how people connect with people online.
Parasocial relationships, yeah. I remember that. It's like we feel like we know these online personalities, even though it's not a two-way street.
Exactly. So in a way, Kaya's viewers might be projecting their own experiences and anxieties onto her and her content, even though she's not actually part of their lives.
Wow, so we're basically laying our own baggage onto her without even realizing it.
It's possible. And that can lead to all sorts of misunderstandings, misinterpretations, even conflict, like with this whole bait theory and the worries about relationships. It's wild how something as simple as a cooking show can bring up all this stuff.
It really shows how social media can both connect us and, drive us apart.
It really does. And I think it highlights the importance of, like, media literacy, being aware of how the things we watch and read online affect us, our thoughts, our feelings, even our actions.
So if we're trying to sum all this up for our listeners, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive into cooking with Kaya?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to be aware of how we're engaging with stuff online. It's not just about passively watching. We have to question things, consider different perspectives, and just be aware of how it might be affecting us.
Yeah, and remember that there are real people behind those accounts, and what we say and do online can have real-life consequences.
Exactly. It's so easy to get caught up in the online world and forget that there are actual human beings on the other side of the screen.
Totally.
And it's not just about being nice, although that's definitely important.
Yeah.
It's also about being thoughtful about the things we read and watch, and about the stories we're spreading.
What do you mean?
Think about that bait theory again. Whether or not we believe it, it shows how online content can be used to reinforce harmful stereotypes and cause division. We have to be aware of that and challenge it when we see it happening.
Okay, so it's not just about being nice, it's about being responsible.
Exactly. We have a responsibility to think critically about what we're watching and sharing, and to be aware of how it might affect other people.
This has been a wild ride. I mean, we started with potato soup and dance moves, and now we're talking about gender, relationships, authenticity, the power dynamics of the internet. It's amazing how Cooking with Kaya has become this mirror, reflecting back all these anxieties and beliefs we have about the world.
It really shows how powerful online content can be in starting conversations and making us question the things we think we know. And that's what the deep dive is all about.
Totally agree. So to everyone listening, we encourage you to keep thinking critically about what you see online. Question things, look for different perspectives, and most importantly, remember that there are real people behind those accounts.
And if Cooking with Kaya has taught us anything, it's that even the simplest things can be more complicated than they seem. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.
Until next time.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been breaking down this whole Cooking with Kaya thing, the good, the bad, the bait theory.
Right, a lot to unpack.
But before we wrap up, we really need to talk about the impact all this is having on Kaya herself. Yeah, it's easy to forget sometimes that behind all these viral videos and online personas, there are actual people dealing with real-life consequences.
Exactly. And we talked about how social media can really mess with people's anxieties and insecurities, but it can also have a huge impact on mental health, especially when you're facing all this online criticism and scrutiny.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much research now about how online harassment and negative comments can lead to, stress, anxiety, depression, even in some cases thoughts of self-harm. It's serious stuff.
And for someone like Kaya, whose whole persona is so tied to her online presence, it's got to be even more intense. That line between what's online and what's real gets even blurrier. How do you think she's handling all this attention, the good and the bad?
It's hard to say for sure, obviously, without knowing her personally, but I think it's safe to say that this kind of scrutiny, even if it comes from a good place, can really take a toll. It's like she's living in a fishbowl where everything she does is being watched and judged by millions of people.
It's got to be exhausting. And we've seen this happen over and over with online personalities, right?
Oh, yeah.
That pressure to keep up a certain image, the fear of making a mistake, the constant stream of comments.
It can be totally overwhelming. And I think it's important to remember that even the people who seem to be thriving online are still human. They still have vulnerabilities and emotions.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what are some things we should keep in mind when we're engaging with content online, especially with people like Kaya? Any final thoughts for our listeners?
I think the biggest thing is to approach everything online with empathy and critical thinking. Remember that there are real people on the other side of those screens, and our words and actions have real consequences.
That's such a good reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in the online world and forget that we're interacting with real people.
And it's not just about being nice, though that's definitely important. It's also about being aware of the information we're taking in and the stories we're helping to spread.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think back to that bait theory we were discussing. Regardless of whether you agree with it or not, it shows how online content can be used to reinforce harmful stereotypes and create division. We have to be conscious of those things and challenge them when we see them.
So it's not just about being nice, it's about being responsible.
Exactly. We have a responsibility to think critically about what we're watching and sharing, and to be aware of how it might affect other people.
Wow, this has been such a fascinating deep dive. I mean, we started with potato soup and dance moves, and now we're talking about gender, relationships, authenticity, the whole power dynamic of the internet. It's incredible how Cooking with Kaya has become this mirror reflecting all these anxieties and beliefs we have about the world.
It really shows you how powerful online content can be, how it can spark these conversations and make us question what we think we know. And that's what the deep dive is all about.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, keep thinking critically about what you see online. Question things, consider different perspectives, and most importantly, remember the human beings behind those accounts.
And if Cooking with Kaya has taught us anything, it's that even the simplest things can be way more complicated than they appear. Keep digging deeper, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.
And that's a wrap for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.